Hi, it's Maria from Women into Wellness. Today I have a video for you that is going to have a look at intermittent fasting, time restricted eating patterns, and how these can be absolutely amazing for you in your life, and especially if you are a woman. So stick with me if you want to learn all of that, and don't forget to, if you haven't already, subscribe and click that bell so that you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Like the video if you enjoy the content. Please feel free to comment and get a discussion going, and share with anyone else who you think can enjoy the information shared here. So welcome to Women into Wellness. This is the channel where I provide for you information, tools, tips and strategies to help you navigate your way to a life filled with wellness and vitality, and to generally feel fantastic. Let's get started on intermittent fasting. There are a lot of benefits towards employing intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating patterns into your life. First and foremost, it's going to simplify your eating habits. Now, this is because you're going to know when to eat, you're going to have a better idea about what to eat, and you are going to be preparing less meals per day in general. Now, especially if before you were having 3 square meals and snacks, then if you think about prepping for that, there is a lot less work to do if you've now gone down to having 3 meals in a compressed window, or perhaps 2 meals. This means you're also going to spend less money on that food. So a lot of time is spent without having to do more shopping, spending more money, preparing that food and then cooking it, as well as spending time eating the food. Also, it's going to help clear some space in your mind because, like I said, you're not having to make those daily decisions about when you're going to eat, and you've probably put a bit more thought in about what you're going to eat as well, and it just helps make things a little bit simpler. Another benefit, if you love your food, is that the meals that you do get to eat, if you've gone down to 2 meals instead of 3, you're going to get to eat more in each of those meals, so you're really going to feel satiated. Now, this is going to feel completely different if you've been on like a restrictive diet where you're really calorie counting and not eating much. So if you find that you have gone down to having, for example, 2 meals a day, then what will happen is that those 2 meals will generally be larger to ensure you're getting on all the calories that you need. And this means you're going to feel satiated and full and happy after eating that food. So you can often afford to have a lovely big meal, whether this is something like a salad, you may even have some soup as well with that, and then have a lovely pudding, or maybe followed by something like a little handful of nuts, and feel like you've really eaten a great meal that fills you up, so that you feel nice and comfortable and it can see you through to your next meal. And in particular, the last meal that you're going to eat before that eating window closes and you start the extended fasting period, you can feel like you have a really good meal. So this is where you're going to want to eat a lovely main, have a nice enjoyable nutrient dense pudding, and maybe even have a little snack on the side, and then you can have something like your nice juices or smoothie or something to go with it if you're really enjoying those fruit and phytonutrient vegetable benefits as well. Now, this doesn't involve calorie counting, and because of this, it means you're not wasting a lot of energy tracking macronutrients and making sure that you're weighing out portions of food. It's a bit more about combining intuitive eating with this intermittent fasting eating pattern, so that you eat until you are satiated within those meals and within that time window that you've allotted and allocated for yourself. So this is going to allow you to really enjoy that food without having to worry about lots of calorie counting at the same time, which can be unsustainable and it can create unhealthy fixations on your food. And in that sense, it makes it a lot easier than dieting, because this is a long-term approach. It's something that allows you to still eat what you want to eat on most days of the week for most of those meals, but within that restricted time period, as long as you are ensuring that before you prepare that meal, you are choosing options that are going to be nutrient dense based. Now, what makes this easier than the typical type of diet is it's not a restrictive style of eating in terms of what you can eat. So within this time restricted eating pattern, it's the time frame and the pattern that does a lot of the work for you when you combine that with making healthy eating choices. So when most of your food is whole food, plant-based, nutrient dense foods, and it's eaten within that time frame, that does the job for you. So you're not having to count those calories, and you're not having to exclude whole groups of food unless you choose to for certain reasons. For example, if you're vegetarian or you're vegan or you have religious or cultural beliefs. So what this means is that you can still enjoy all of the foods that you like to eat. So this means you can still have some of your treats, you can still have some of those celebratory foods or foods you'd eat on a social occasion, because a lot of the pattern of eating is doing the work for you. Add those on top of your healthy food as and when you feel the need to, just making sure that you're still just eating to satiation, you're not going over the top with it, and that you are not eating those treat foods sort of with every single meal. Choose some healthier substitutions when you can, because there is lovely, delicious, tasty food out there that, trust me, will still feel like a treat. It's also a flexible approach, which means that you can adapt it to fit around the daily demands of your life. So if any particular day you have a social event or special occasion, or you're going on holiday for a week or a month, then you can choose to shift and adapt the time frame that you're eating. So if you normally eat in the day and you're going out for a meal with friends or a birthday celebration, you can choose to then have that eating meal, that period later in the day, or just have an add-on meal that you're having for that one day and then come back to the commitment of your plan the next day or the next week when you finish that social occasion or that holiday. Now, it's also thought that intermittent fasting can help to support a healthy gut microbiome, and this is all of the bacteria that resides within your gut that allows you to absorb and assimilate the nutrients that you take on from your food. And the reason for this is because when you are having those extended breaks from basically digesting food or assimilating those nutrients, then it allows your gut microbiome to rest and recover in between. So this allows it to be supported, and it also is supported in that sense, not only through being able to rest and recover, but also by reducing inflammation that any foods that you may take on board come into the gut. So if you have any irritations or you have those types of food that just inflames those gut cells, you're having longer periods for that inflammation to subside, and then therefore being able to recover and work more efficiently. And also by allowing your gut microbiome to be able to fall back into its natural diurnal rhythm, because of course the bacteria is also a living organism living within a human body. It is adapted to work on the same diurnal rhythm we are. So if you were perhaps a late night eater or a midnight snacker, then you would have been forcing your gut microbiome to work outside of its natural diurnal rhythm, where it would normally have that overnight rest and break alongside the rest of your body. So it's really important because it also helps those tiny little organisms that keep us going and keep us well nourished. Research has shown that it can be great at reducing the risk factors that lead to developing cardiovascular disease or cardiovascular impairment. And this can be related to things such as atherosclerosis and arteriosclerosis. And this relates to having damage to the blood vessels or build-up and deposits within the blood vessels that can cause blockages and lead to a lot of problems, including things such as heart attacks. So it's so important that we make sure that we are adapting our lives and getting some of these cardiovascular benefits. And intermittent fasting is one of the ways that you can do this. One of the huge benefits of intermittent fasting is it helps us to redistribute the type of body mass that we have to be more healthy. Now, this means it helps us to burn that excess fat that is usually adipose fat, the fat that our body doesn't need, and it helps us to increase our muscle mass. So not only are you creating a body that is going to be reducing at risk of developing certain diseases related to having excess body fat, but you are also then going to be increasing the metabolism of your body, the appearance of your body as well, and potentially the capability and function of your body, because it's naturally going to start holding on to that lean muscle mass and tissue. And then if you marry this together with an exercise routine, then you are getting a double hit on that, because you're just going to be able to sculpt your body even more, improve your strength, your stamina, and your endurance and ability to get through a day and deal with the activities of daily living, as well as be able to do more sports activities and or exercise. It's also been shown to be able to help manage and or in some cases reverse diabetes. And this is because of that relationship that occurs between the blood sugar and the insulin that is managed so much better through intermittent fasting. So this is a great one to think about if you are at risk of developing diabetes, if it runs as a history throughout your family line, or if you already have diabetes. But one caveat that I will put in there is that if you do have any type of metabolic disease, including diabetes or insulin resistance, that what you need to be doing is first consulting with your medical practitioner to ensure that they support you going into a trial of intermittent fasting. And what you can also do is you can trial this alongside a registered dietitian or a nutritionist so that you make sure that you are doing this as safely and as effectively as possible. But it's probably something that you would want to look into because there have been shown to be great benefits for our metabolic disease. Now, you may have heard that intermittent fasting can help to protect against developing certain cancers, or in fact be used in the treatment of certain cancers. Now, this is still in the very early stages of being researched, but what the indicators seem to show, and the link here, is because when we go into that fasted state, we know that it starts to trigger something called autophagy. And autophagy is where your cells actually start to cleanse themselves. So this is where basically it's the consumption, the internal consumption or breakdown of cells and of cell matter that has degraded or is dysfunctional. And it basically gives your body a chance to clean those out. Now, the link that this has, this autophagy or this cleaning up of cells, is that it can actually help to suppress or reduce tumours, and this has been seen in some research. So how does this relate to us? Well, it basically means that if you are intermittently fasting, your body is able to clean up some of those damaged cells or recycle them, and that this means it can have benefits in terms of if you don't have a lot of damaged cells floating around your body, that perhaps that means that you're less likely to be at risk of developing certain types of cancers, or if you do have certain type of cancers, then it may mean that it gives your body that opportunity to work on reducing those tumorous cells. So the way to look at this while the research is still being done is to see that it is a positive potential benefit. It's something that you may get out of doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has also been linked through research to potentially reducing the risk of developing cognitive impairment and diseases related to this, such as Alzheimer's. Now, the reason for this is because when we're in a state of autophagy, what we are able to do is we are reducing something called ketones. And these ketones are being produced from the breakdown of fatty acids that are stored in the liver. And the fatty acids are in fact a preferred method of fuel for the brain. So this means that you are basically freeing up the substance that your brain needs in order to be able to function better. And it's also been thought to have a link as well, because when we are in fasted states, the body goes into a system where it's almost in a state of heightened productivity. Now, if you look at this from an evolutionary point of view, what this links to is the fact that when we were in fasted states, it often meant that we are in trouble, we need to find some food. So it's thought that your body actually starts to kick in, your body and your brain, and starts to work or operate at a higher level in order to find yourself that food to eat. And so this means that through having a fasted state, your brain actually becomes more switched on because your body just inherently is aware you need to be turned on, switched on to find what you need. Intermittent fasting can also potentially help you have a better sleep. The reason for this is simply because you are going to be allowing your body to go into that state of rest and fall again into its natural diurnal rhythm. So for example, if you've had your last meal at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock, ideally several 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep, then your digestion will have started off that process. You will have usually emptied the contents of your stomach, unless you've been eating a lot of meat-based products, and you are going to allow your body to go into that rest that it needs overnight and just rest and repair. That's what your body should be focusing on during the night hours. However, one thing I will add to this is while you're working this out and setting your time pattern, at the beginning stages when your body's not used to it, you may feel hungry in the evening, particularly if you are used to having a late night meal, for example, a 9 p.m. meal, and then going to bed at 10 or 11. If you've moved that meal earlier, for example, till 6 p.m. and you're still not going to bed till 11 o'clock or something, then what you may find is that you are going to bed hungry, which then can be counterproductive to having a good night's sleep. So what you want to make sure is that you are timing it right, or allowing yourself those 2 weeks to adjust to it before you make a decision as to whether this is working for you or not regarding your sleep patterns. But hopefully your body will start to adapt. You will get used to having that longer fasting period overnight, and you will find that you are better able to rest and wake up feeling more refreshed in the morning. So thanks ever so much for watching. I really hope that you've seen the amazing benefits that intermittent fasting can bring to your life. And if you want to take a deep dive and start to embed intermittent fasting into your life so that you can reap the benefits, then do check out my online program, Intermittent Fasting for You. There is a link below. This is a program that is going to teach you everything you need to know about intermittent fasting into easily understandable, bite-sizable, manageable chunks. And it's going to provide for you all of the tools and the strategies that you need to take you step by step through the process so that you can embed it in the correct, safe way and start to see the results quickly. So I'm really thankful for you for watching this video and spending your time with me. Check out the links. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button. If you think someone else would benefit from it, please feel free to share it. And I'd love to hear if you've got any comments or questions, then pop them down below and I will respond. I will see you soon. Until then, I wish you well.